Welcome to your Daily 5 for Thursday, February 1st, 2024. I happened to see an article over on Wired that caught my attention, which is titled, and of course I'll link it. The title is Social Media is Getting Smaller and More Treacherous. And I read the article, and basically what it is saying is that after during the continuing erosion of Twitter as what many people viewed as kind of the big social public square, that now the replacement social networks, either from people being driven off Twitter because they don't like it there anymore, or from some of the expulsions that happened pre-Elon Musk, that now we have a larger universe of smaller social networks that are basically focused and more insular than some of these more public-facing ones, at least were initially. And you could expand this out to Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But basically what you're seeing is the rise of curated social media platforms as opposed to the groups that used to exist within the platforms. And what's being described here is more or less a variation on the echo chamber problem, that if you only see other information and other people and other opinions that echo your own, that can be anywhere from detrimental to you to dangerous to society at large. Not really a new argument, and certainly I think there is a point in here about the fact that some of these replacement networks or new networks do seem to have less of interest in being broadly adopted. They seem to know who their audiences are and they're sticking with them. I mean, certainly that's my experience on Blue Sky. I haven't even bothered with anything else since going there because it's a lot of artists and weirdos, and that's a community I like being in the middle of. And honestly, I barely ever check Twitter anymore, except to see if somebody sent me a message or a mention or something. That might be once or twice a week. And most of the other ones I don't even bother with. And it is definitely something that isn't a great end result. What you really aim for, what the ideal version of this would be, is that people look at diverse opinions and engage in respectful conversation and try to learn from others, or at least better understand different viewpoints. But look, that went out the window a long time ago. That's just, at least in the United States. I don't know how it is anywhere else, but I'm guessing there's similar variations on this all over the place. I have not heard of any utopian kind of societies where people have these wonderful, the Greek idea of being in the open forum and discussing and debating ideas. That's all long dead. I mean, it's gone. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying it's what is. But even before Musk took over Twitter and started detonating it, which I think is really what led to the acceleration of these smaller networks, that was already happening. You could already filter and block and, self-select what groups and opinions you wanted to be exposed to. And that's a mechanism that has to exist in platforms because it's really one of the only safeguards you have against abuse unless you're really going to aggressively moderate what people are saying. And generally, when there is somebody deciding what speech is allowed and what speech isn't, it usually doesn't go that well. I mean, sometimes it does, but you often get into bigger conflicts and the service suffers anyway. So the way around that is to give users the controls to moderate what they see, which will lead to an echo chamber effect for many people. So what this author is talking about, I don't think any of it is untrue. I think that these newer networks are less concerned about a general approach to bringing people in. I think they know who their people are, and they're not really worried about trying to expand past that. But I also don't know that there's any way around that. I think any modern social media platform that's going to have user controls to try to manage abuse and to allow people to maximize the benefit of the service to their own wants and needs is going to end up creating little series of echo chambers. And is there really that big a difference if that's created by the users themselves or if the platform just assumes that posture to begin with? I don't know. I don't know that it really matters when we know what the end result will be. So again, I don't disagree with anything in this article. I just don't know that it wasn't inevitable, that something like Twitter was always going to implode because it was too broad. And again, I am not arguing that having less access to differing opinions is good. I just don't know whether there's any real desire for that in the people who would use these platforms. And so they're inevitably going to go where the users want them to go. That's how services like this work. If there's nobody using it, there's no point in it existing. And so they're going to surf whatever wave the general populace wants. Again, not necessarily the ideal place to be, but I think just where it ends up. So an interesting article describing a new variation on an old phenomenon, but I'd be curious. Read the article and you let me know. Is there any possibility this ever changes, or is just this the way that these networks are going to end up being? I'd be curious what you think. Later.